The following recording is a production of Kickin' Out at 2 in conjunction with the WretroMania Pro Wrestling Podcast Network and is intended for private use only. For more information, head on over to facebook.com/Kickin' Out at 2 or our Twitter handle @KickinOut2, along with searching WretroMania with a W on any and all podcast platforms available to listen to archive shows such as this and all the great content of the WretroMania Pro Wrestling Podcast Network. Evergreen content at your fingertips anytime at your listening pleasure. And with that being said, we thank you for listening and hope you enjoy the show. Another nostalgic trip down memory lane on this episode of Kickin' Out at 2 as we watch with all of you another classic Saturday night's main event on the Peacock. Not my Peacock, not your Peacock, but the Peacock, with my co-host, my good buddy, my dear, close, personal, longtime friend, Mr. Dennis J. Levy. What's up, dude?
Dave, always a pleasure, chilling. I'm excited about this one. This is kind of like you don't always get what you want type of deal.
But you get what you need.
And get what you need,
yeah.
Exactly.
And that seemed to be the theme for the upcoming episode of Saturday Night's Main Event that we're going to watch from February 23rd, 1990, which was headlined by Hulk Hogan defending the World Wrestling Federation Championship against Macho King Randy Savage with World Heavyweight Boxing Champion at the time, Buster Douglas. And we're going to get into all the controversy surrounding that on that episode. But before we do all that, head on over to Podbean, where you can find WretroMania by searching WretroMania with a W. Find this podcast as well as all the great content over at the WretroMania Pro Wrestling Podcast Network by searching WretroMania with a W, or on any podcast platform provided. Kicking Out at 2, Marking Out the Days, Gaijin Wrestling Radio, Hulkamania is Dead, Origins of Attitude, Cool Truth with AC, and so much other evergreen content at your fingertips. You guys have been smashing the archives, and keep doing it. We appreciate all the support, as well as keep listening to this show and keep listening to the regular weekly, bi-weekly, monthly content that WretoMania provides for all of you. So head on over there and keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate it. Now, as far as this watch-along goes, February 23rd, 1990, you can find this episode on your Peacock by going to Saturday Night's Main Event, and it's Season 6, Episode 2, titled The Main Event Number 3, Hulk Hogan versus Randy Macho King Savage for the WWE title with special guest referee James Buster Douglas. So, this show goes about 48 minutes and 43 seconds. It's a quick one, so we're not going to be doing a marathon watch-along, but yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun with this one, talk about the happenings of that time period, 1990, as well as reminisce about the more recent Saturday Night's Main Event that came down the pike, and what's to come for the upcoming Saturday Night's Main Event on January 25th from San Antonio, Texas. So, Dennis, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, timestamp is 48 minutes, 42 seconds on your Peacock, not my Peacock. Actually, not your Peacock, but the Peacock. So, find it. Season 6, Episode 2, the Main Event Number 3. I'll give you a timestamp every now and then. Maybe we'll turn up the audio. We'll see. Actually, I think I'm going to turn up the audio for the first few minutes of this this watch along here, the intro, if you will. So without further ado, let me get the microphone set up in 3, 2, 1. I'll hit play.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan, I got the most powerful right hand in the world because it's packed full of macho madness. Yeah, and you, Buster Douglas, you better stay in line or I'll give you a thrill. Because if the right one don't get you, the left one will. Bam, bam. Oh, yeah. Dig it.
You're familiar with the rules of the WWF. You will be the inside referee, and Mr. Douglas, you will be the outside referee.
Okay, champ, it's no different than in Tokyo. Stay on the outside, stick to the plan, don't get pushed around, not by Savage or not by Hogan. Call it like you see it, right down the middle. But if things get rough in there, then think of Mike Tyson and knock somebody out.
When you take the dynamite tactics of the Macho King, Randy Savage, and the TNT punching power of the undisputed World Heavyweight Boxing Champion, James Buster Douglas, and add it with the super nitro power of the World Wrestling Federation Champion, the Hulkster, something's gonna explode.
That was a pretty good opening intro.
That was pretty good
from both individuals there. As we see the opening video package highlighting the featured combatants on this episode of Saturday Night's Main Event. Now, you're a boxing fan, boxing historian. I would say historian, but you've
far from that. Yeah.
You've watched your fair share of boxing over the years.
Yeah.
1990, 35 years ago. What was your take on? Now, let me backtrack here for a moment before I get into asking the question. Originally, this show was supposed to feature Mike Tyson in the special guest referee role. Mike Tyson was advertised by the WWF, didn't appear on TV to hype the promotion because he was in the middle of training for the fight with Buster Douglas. Tyson goes over to Tokyo. He gets knocked out by Buster Douglas, and plans change. Tyson's people, in conjunction with Vince McMahon and the World Wrestling Federation, kind of mutually agree maybe it's not the best idea for Tyson to appear on this program after such a humiliating loss to a virtual nobody in the boxing world, known as James Buster Douglas. So, with that being said, your thoughts back then, 35 years ago, on the upset by Douglas, as well as the consequential result of pulling Tyson from this event?
Well, my opinion, Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson is the greatest upset in sports history. It is, I don't even think it's not even close.
In all of sports,
all sports.
Okay,
not even close.
Okay,
just take what the term underdog or upset is. They mean like, the most like unlikely scenario would happen. So Buster Douglas beats the heavyweight champion of the world, the unstoppable Mike Tyson. And what happened after Buster Douglas beat him? He never won a fucking heavyweight fight ever again. Talking about a fucking upset.
Yeah.
And everyone sucks their dick. I know I'm going a little bit off the rails.
A little bit.
Everyone sucks the dick on the Americans beating the Russians in 1980 Lake Placid. It was a great upset. A terrific game, great upset. But here's the thing: take that word upset. That was the semifinal match. Who won the gold against a different team? America. They were proven to be the best team of that tournament. I always get annoyed when they use the word. That's the greatest upset, the Miracle on Ice. Maybe because that was the semifinal match, then they won the gold medal match. That means they were the best team in that tournament. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is Buster Douglas losing to Mike Tyson absolutely shake the foundation of all the sports world. And with that being said, that Buster Douglas beating all of this, all of this is the biggest shock in in sports history.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I wasn't alive when the Lake Placid, the Olympics with USA and Russia, the hockey game, was not alive and around for that, so I can't understand the magnitude of that. I was a youngster when this took place, and I knew who Mike Tyson was, so to kind of encapsulate my feelings at that moment 35 years ago, I didn't understand why Mike Tyson just all of a sudden wasn't going to appear and they replaced him with Douglas, until my father was the one that had kind of put the bug in my ear and said, well, Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson and he upset him, and Buster Douglas was I think my father's words were not underdog, but he was a virtual nobody.
Absolutely.
In the boxing world. So to the best of my recollection, the hype for this match with Tyson involved, Tyson did not make an appearance once on television. They showed video packages of his knockouts and his greatest hits, and I think there were I could be mistaken. Those of you out there might want to correct me on social media, but I believe Don King did a pre-taped interview that they patched into their programming, hyping up Mike's appearance on this show. But for the most part, there was no Mike Tyson. It wasn't like when Tyson appeared in '98, 8 years later, for the Austin Michaels WrestleMania match, where he was on TV, he got physical, he was a focal point of the story. It wasn't anything like that. It was just announced that he was going to be there, and that was that. And then for him to get pulled as a youngster, I was a little confused, but my father kind of put it into perspective. Nope, the champion, Buster Douglas, he won. and he's going to appear at this event. So,
How about Mike Tyson's legal trouble? I can't remember when that started. Was that? It obviously happened after the Buster Douglas fight. And Tyson didn't fight. That was his last fight too.
I don't know about that.
I think it was.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty
sure.
I mean, we can Google it.
Yeah.
But you're talking about before he went to prison.
Yeah, I think his last fight was Buster Douglas. I'm like almost 80% sure.
All right. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna Siri this.
Yeah.
All right. Did Mike Tyson fight after Buster Douglas?
I'm guessing it's gonna be some white guy that
after losing to Buster Douglas in February 1990, Mike Tyson fought Henry Tillman and Alex Stewart, winning both fights by knockout in the first round.
Okay.
Tyson's victory set up an elimination match for a chance at the World Heavyweight Championship, which Evander Holyfield had taken from Douglas. Tyson fought Holyfield twice, losing in 96 and 97. So I think Tyson's... I want to say Tyson go to prison in 91, 92?
Yeah, 90.
So I think he had a couple of fights before he went to jail.
Okay.
Which were setups for him to get back into the mix, because he was the cash cow of boxing at that time. Like everyone, and I think what was great about him getting knocked out by Douglas was it also set up the chance for a comeback, because everybody loves a good comeback.
Absolutely.
So even though it kind of humbled him in a way and kind of could have created a new face if Douglas was any good, but he wasn't. And so Tyson getting knocked out sets up a big comeback, and he went to jail not long after and served a couple of years, and then he came back, and then there was an even bigger comeback because there was all these names in boxing at the time that were making a mark that Tyson could fight and make money. Lennox Lewis, Razor Ruddock, Evander Holyfield. I wouldn't say the list goes on and on, but there were some fights set up for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he negotiated, him and his people negotiated some of these fights while he was in prison. We'll watch it here. The activity that Douglas has in this match with Hogan and Savage, which, like I said, this took place February 23rd, 1990. I believe the WrestleMania main event between Hogan and Warrior had already been announced, or had just been announced prior to this. This was following the 1990 Royal Rumble, which Hulk Hogan had won, but they had that big moment with him and Warrior in the Rumble match to kind of tease the showdown at WrestleMania. Interesting here. Hogan has a pre-taped interview. He's wearing a bandana, sweating his ass off. Now he comes out seconds later in a headband and dry as a bone.
It's an interesting point.
Yeah.
You see, Mean Gene? Oh my God! It took every ounce of his body. Whatever Hogan was saying, that's for him to crack up. That was really funny to watch.
Yeah. Hogan and Savage here. Now, here's what I think also, and I could be mistaken. I don't know this for sure, but because Hogan and Savage were two top guys, and the original bout was supposed to feature Mike Tyson in a referee role, I don't think it could have happened with any two other guys. Meaning, like, Hogan and Savage were your top guys.
Yeah,
they were able to handle a situation with a celebrity probably the best. I'm not saying that, at the time, a Ted DiBiase or a Rick Rude or a Jake the Snake couldn't handle that stuff. But I think because of the magnitude of Mike Tyson being involved heavily, that Hogan and Savage were the perfect choices, because they were going to know what to do in the event that something goes wrong. If Tyson's not in a certain spot, or now, for all we know, Tyson could have just been on the outside the whole time. The referee on the inside does the heavy lifting. Tyson comes in and either counts the 1, 2, 3, or he does some post-match shenanigans with Hogan and Savage, and he was just there as, window dressing, which we'll kind of see in this match here with Douglas. Doesn't really do a whole lot in the context of the match, but post-match is where he makes his money. Let me just put it to you that way.
Do you think there was any sack of potatoes? I know that fantasy booking isn't our cup of tea per se. Do you think, though, for What percentage do you put it that if Mike Tyson was still the champion
at that time?
Yeah, at the time. And Hogan Hogan has his match. Mike Tyson pins does
Savage.
The pin. Yeah. Hogan wins. Then at the end, boom! Tyson punches Hogan, and we could potentially get at Mania Tyson versus Hogan. You think there was a potential for that to happen? Well, give me a percentage of Hogan versus Tyson at Mania. That was in the brain of Vince
I don't
McMahon.
know, man. I don't know. That's tough to call because this was during a period of time where they were still trying to suspend the audience's disbelief. They weren't acknowledging that this is art.
Yeah.
That this is an art form, an athletic form of art. And to have you have a setup like that where Tyson, let's say, knocks out Hogan. Okay.
He doesn't put the a cheap shot.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
He gets the best of him.
Yeah.
And he's your champion. At that time, you would think that you're going to want your champion to get his heat back or to get his revenge. And Mike Tyson, who was a legitimate professional fighter.
And he was undefeated, too. Hypothetical in our universe, he would have beaten Buster Douglas.
We're talking about Douglas doesn't count, okay? I have a hard time thinking that a Hogan-Tyson match at a WrestleMania in this era would have worked. Now, the roles reversed, and let's say Tyson knocks out Savage. I think they could I think they could turn that into a WrestleMania match because Savage has the business savvy, and he was such a pro back then that he could make it work. Boxer versus wrestler.
Yeah.
WrestleMania. Macho King versus Mike Tyson.
I just thinking,
I think that has more appeal than Tyson Hogan because in that era, people are going to want to see Hulk Hogan beat Mike Tyson, but you think that the boxing world and Mike Tyson are going to want to be portrayed as less than Hulk Hogan?
And you can't have a smash finish either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're really drawing a fine line here, but a Savage Tyson.
Did that name though? Those two names.
Oh, of
Hogan?
course.
Oh my God.
Of course. I mean, they were at that time they were arguably the biggest combat sports box office attractions. Hogan dominated wrestling on top, and Mike Tyson dominated boxing on top. So yeah, you would think that naturally it would be a natural fit to do something for them at WrestleMania, but I think as a great undercard fight, Savage and Tyson would be, and Savage could make it work and still be. I mean, he's Macho Man for Christ's sake. Look at him. Savage was one of the very few guys at that time in the industry, in my opinion, after watching stuff back, where he was so untouchable that you could have him lose 1,000 times and nobody thought anything different of him because he was so good at his presentation, his brand. He's the Macho Man. Right?
Yeah.
Look at him. I mean, the colors, the look. He just. I think Savage could have made it work with Mike Tyson if that conversation would have ever come across the table. That's just my theory. Savage and Tyson, WrestleMania 6.
There you have a point.
And then imagine that WrestleMania. Yeah. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, The Ultimate Challenge, champion versus champion, title for title. The undercard, special attraction, Macho King Randy Savage against Iron Mike Tyson, boxer versus wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been a very long match, but it would have been all hype and spectacle, and I think Savage could have made it work. I think they probably could have gotten like 10, 15 minutes bell to bell. And I'm not talking bell to bell like move for move, hold for hold. I'm talking bell to bell like spectacle, like sports entertainment at its finest. Savage kind of playing the chicken shit cocky heel.
Yep.
But at the same time, I think Savage, because he was such a pro and protected the business like you wouldn't believe. I mean, Savage protected the business so much that during this time frame, on paper, he got a legal separation or had paperwork documenting a legal separation from Miss Elizabeth because on TV he was paired with Sherry because of the Mega Power split.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
So, Savage being a pro in that context with Mike Tyson, I could see him kind of being the one to defend wrestling. Kind of the way Piper defended it with Mr. T. But the difference is that Piper and T hated each other. I don't think Savage and Tyson, I don't think it could have ever gotten to that point. Who knows? We're talking 35 years ago. I could be wrong, but I just think that there's so much, there could have been so much on the table if they were to have gone that route. But who knows? Who knows if a Mike Tyson, WrestleMania appearance was even in the cards for them with this, had he not gotten knocked out by Buster Douglas? You know what I mean? I don't know if that was even something that was presented to them. I can't. I would imagine that depending on Tyson's schedule at that time, before he got knocked out by Buster Douglas, maybe it was something that they would say, "Oh, let's see how this goes," and then if not, maybe we'll do something for WrestleMania. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I lean towards a Savage Mike Tyson fight at that WrestleMania, just because Hogan's too good of a good guy, and Tyson was too big of a figure in the boxing world for either of them to take a dive.
And
either of them to take a dive.
And Tyson didn't get a loss yet, so him to lose, it was kind of impossible. That they would have to do a small.
Well, let me ask you this: let's say they were to go back to the drawing board, even if Buster Douglas won. Even when Buster Douglas's knockout over Tyson, and they were to be like, "Oh yeah, let's bring Tyson in." Let's just say they have a lapse in judgment or whatever. They decide, let's bring Tyson in because we know he's going to draw. Right? Who's going to want to see Tyson lose to a Hogan or a Savage? Oh, here's another thing.
And that's two in a row,
here's
too.
Here's another thing that just popped in my head. Okay? Let's say Savage on TV calls out Mike Tyson for losing to Buster Douglas. And that's how you set up the WrestleMania match. And Tyson gets his heat back, if you will.
Yeah. That would be cool, yeah.
Say, "Oh, look at you! I took a punch to the face by Buster Douglas, and I got back up. You got knocked out. And you went in hiding.
That would be a cool storyline.
You know what I mean?
That would be cool.
Because spoiler alert: at the end of this match, Buster Douglas and Savage have a physical altercation post match.
Yep.
And he hits Savage with a legit shot, which Savage, I guess, from what I've read over the years, he told him to go live with that fist.
Really?
Yeah. He told him, he goes, hit me. Because boxers, you can't really hold back. You know what I mean? You're trained to punch. You're trained to make contact. So we come back from the commercial break. Buster Douglas had gotten rid of Sensational Sherry.
She was bumping her ass off in that match.
Well, I mean, that's what Sherry did. When Sherry was a manager, especially when she was with Savage, man, she probably took more bumps than Savage some night in some of those matches.
Yeah.
I mean,
It breaks my heart when I see I know Scary Sherry is one of the immortals, but still, if she was in this generation of women's wrestling, she would be like immortal of immortals. You know what I mean?
Like if they recognized women's wrestling with like a championship and everything. Yeah, I think she would have definitely been regarded as one of the top women's wrestlers of all time if she had a fabulous Moolah type championship run. Yeah.
It did her only match, right, was that mixed tag, right, in the WrestleMania. Am I wrong about that? Did she ever wrestle in any other WrestleMania other than the mixed tag?
What's
her
Sapphire?
Yeah, Sapphire. Come on, that's a.
You want me to answer the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Jesus,
I got excited. I'm sorry.
What'd you do? Take a couple of bumps before?
No, you know me in women's wrestling. I'm very protective.
Yes, you are. Yeah. And I love and respect that about you. As far as I know, the only. Well, actually, no. So she had the mixed tag at WrestleMania.
Yep.
With Savage against Dusty and Sapphire. That was when Elizabeth made an appearance in the match. But
and I'm not talking valet.
Well, she had a scheduled match with Sapphire at SummerSlam later that year in 1990, but Sapphire disappeared only to come to find out that she was bought and paid for by the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. He was ironing her $100 bills on the fucking ironing board with her mink coat and her cruise around the world, baby.
I'm presuming that was probably Vince's nice way of saying, yeah, you're not drawing. You're out of here.
I don't know how that worked. I don't know how that worked. I did hear a story once that when they were a lot of the time the WWF would do two shows in they'd run 2 crews.
Yeah.
And so Hogan was like the A show crew, and the B show crew was headlined by Savage and Sherry against Dusty and Sapphire. And they used to have Brother Love as the special guest referee.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which would have been kind of neat if he was part of that at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But Brother Love was like the heel special guest referee, and then Dusty and Sapphire were the baby faces, obviously. But there was a story that Bruce Pritchard once shared on his podcast that when they were doing those loops with that match on top on the B crew, Sherry worked with Sapphire one night, and Sapphire wasn't the most hygienic person. And after the match in the locker room, Sherry went after her and literally threw her in the shower and forced her to take a shower.
Wow.
Yeah. Like Sherry didn't fuck around
Yeah.
from what I've heard. As we see Hulk coming back, he's hulking up against the Macho King. Oh, I thought I got him with that right. Maybe I'll give it the right. Don't get you to lift one will. Oh, nope, there's a block. Oh, that hurt, motherfucker. Oh, again, get me again. One more time. Oh, yep, right there. Shoot me into the ropes, and then you give me the big boot. Oh, right in the face, But I'm going to powder out of the ring because I got ring awareness, I'm going to scoop you out to the outside. Oh, block a shot, give me another right. Block another one, give me another right. Oh, right to the eyes. I got you, motherfucker.
Yep.
Oh, nope, doesn't phase Hulkster, brother.
Yep.
Doesn't phase the Hulkster. Did you hear recently Hogan and Hogan's Real American Beer had signed a here we go, big like 1, 2, 3. Whoa. Savage kicked out, but Buster Douglas counted the 3.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's like the original Montreal screw job right there.
Yep.
Oh man. So Hulk gets the win. Oh, there's the referee.
Elfner's even apologizing. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
I thought 2 count, but he called the 3.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's his call. Yeah, he's got the final say. Oh, here we go. Let's play the audio for this here, because this is, I think, where Douglas and Savage. I'll get to it in a second. Savage is arguing. Hogan's right there. Now, see, he looks at it. Now Hogan's egging it on. Oh, you want to see? Let's go at it, brother. You guys have it. Yeah, I'll take a break. I'll sit over here. Yep, I already earned my paycheck. All right, so he's telling him it's a 3. This one's saying it's a 2. I believe at one point Savage is gonna tell him to hit him, but he doesn't hit him hard enough, and then he fucking gets in his face and tells him to hit him again. So we're gonna play the audio for this. We are at currently 24 minutes and 3 seconds and counting.
Well, Savage better be careful if he's going to take this guy on. Wrestle him, don't box him. Look at the look in the eye for the Macho King. What's going on now? Macho King's just discussing the situation with James Douglas. Oh no. Savage lining up, peekaboo. I think he's gonna go for it. That's called rope-a-dope. If you ever watched Ali, he set him up for rope-a-dope. Look, James Buster Douglas isn't asking for any of this, Jesse. He simply counted 1, 2, 3. Oh, a slap by the Macho King. He slapped him right in the face. What guts on the part of the Macho King. I mean, he slaps the World Heavyweight Boxing Champion right in the face, and James Buster Douglas does nothing. Oh, wait a minute, the hands are up now. Douglas, I think, is going to raise his hands. Douglas better watch out or Macho King will paintbrush him. Right, Savage moving in now. Savage bobbing and weaving, a moment to go. Savage turning his back on James Buster Douglas. After slapping him in the face, it's a good thing Douglas is a gentleman, I can tell you that. Look at him. How much of this is Douglas going to take? Wait a minute. Oh, mounting again. What a sucker punch. And Hogan pushed him into it. What kind of deal is that, McMahon? It took 2 of them. They had to double team the Macho King.
You saw that? He shoved him
yep.
into him, and he kind of hit him, but then like Savage
I tell you what, There's a very thin line of who's the heel and who's the face in this situation. Macho Man legitimately got screwed. He kicked out of 2.
Yes.
And he got pushed into Buster Douglas 2 cheap shots. Who's the face and who's the heel in this situation?
Well, if you asked the Los Angeles crowd recently at the Netflix debut of Monday Night Raw when Hulk Hogan came out to promote his Real American Beer, you would definitely hear the Los Angeles crowd voice their displeasure for Hulk Hogan. It was pretty bad. And I'm a big Hulkamaniac, you know this, but I think it's time for WWE to stop trotting him out on TV. You know, if you want to have a working relationship with his beer company, so long story short, they purchased like 70% of his beer distribution company. And they're gonna promote it on their show. So you might see some TV appearances. Oh, see, there you go. He kind of missed, and Savage like, give me again, and then he gives him that elbow shot. That crowd was not having it for Hulk at all. He came out. Jimmy Hart was out waving the American flag, and Hogan tried to babyface the crowd, like, you guys have been there through thick and thin with me, brother. And then they booed him. They even, he's like, you've been my ultimate tag team partner. Speaking of ultimate, here's the Ultimate Warrior.
What's it on?
That looks like
like he took
tanning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It looks like he took a shit.
Yeah.
Right?
And he wiped his ass
I
with
was
it.
literally like lost for words. No. But thank you for getting my head a shake. I thought that was legitimate shit. I really did. But no, you're right. You look at his chest. This fucking yeah.
I can't.
My brain didn't process that. I'm like, wait, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So what?
Wait,
So in your mind, before we go off the beaten path, he went and took a dump, and there was no toilet paper in the stall, so he wiped his hands.
Oh, whatever. Yeah,
and then he cut a promo.
Yeah, he cut a promo. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe he did it traditionally, and like,
goddamn pal,
the paper.
Goddamn pal, flush. Finish up. Let's go. Vince, there's no toilet paper. I don't give a shit. Use your hand. Goddamn it, you gotta cut a promo.
Yep.
Coming up next, Ultimate Warrior and Dino Bravo. As you once said on one of the very first podcasts we ever did together, Dino Bravo, a great 80s heel.
I liked him a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I liked the combination with him and Earthquake. They had like a good, tandem with Jimmy Hart as their manager. I wouldn't say they would have been tag team champions, but I think they could have made a good makeshift, quick tag team.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Something, I'm not saying like they would have been, having a long run, but I could see them paired up against like a Hart Foundation or a Demolition or even the Rockers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The power and the size between the two of them against two, white meat baby faces and Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, or even like Brett and Anvil with Hart Foundation. I could definitely see that.
Yep. Who would ever thought that this motherfucker was connected with the Canadian Mafia?
Yeah, I know, right? He died over cigarettes.
Yep.
Smuggling cigarettes is what was said. You watched that documentary, right?
Yeah, the Dark Side of the Ring.
Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing I don't like about that one. I mean, the story career, but what I did not like about that was the fact that they tried to villain, but what I did not like about that was the fact that they tried to villainize Vince, as Vince was the reason for his downfall.
They do that in every episode.
I know that season was like the Vince McMahon fuck you world tour.
Yeah,
like it was Dino was, they didn't renew his contract. Simple as that. They were like, all right, we're going to part ways. They didn't fire the guy. They let him, they let his contract run out, and they didn't renew it. And, then that's when his life of crime with the French Canadian mob took place, and Canadian mob took place, and yeah, that was that.
Yep. Then
But to blame Vince McMahon, I mean, Vince McMahon's a lot of things, as we've come to find out in the last couple of years. He's a fucking sexual demonizer, according to, many women and even men in this world. But to think that, like, you're going to blame him, like you said, it was a theme for that whole season, every episode.
Yep.
Marty Jannetty, he got blamed for Vince's shit. Speaking of shit, there's Warrior. See, his shoulders don't really have a whole lot of tanning oil or tanning solution or whatever you want to call it. Shoulders don't really have a whole lot of tanning oil or tanning solution or whatever you want to call it. Or tanning solution or whatever you want to call it. Warrior looks like a lesbian gym teacher with that hairstyle. They had been partners on the previous Saturday night's main event, defeating Mr. Perfect and the Genius, but there was a miscommunication. They had been partners on the previous Saturday night's main event, defeating Mr. Perfect and the Genius, but there was a miscommunication. Warrior had been partners on the previous Saturday night's main event, defeating Mr. Perfect and the Genius, but there was a miscommunication. Warrior clotheslined Hogan. They had some words, and then they were off to the races for WrestleMania 6. Champion versus champion, title for title, excuse me. Speaking of Saturday night's main event, did you watch the last Saturday night's main event that took place in December?
Negatory.
So you didn't see any of it?
No.
Okay.
I think I saw one match, but I forgot. Yes, I did. Yeah, the Apollo Driver. That was one of my favorite Apollo Drivers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I thought that match was great. I thought the whole show was fun just because... I thought the whole show was fun just because of the nostalgic aspect. They had the red, white, and blue ropes. They had the entranceway that was it wasn't as elaborate with all the lights and stuff. And they even had Jesse Ventura hosting. He had an appearance in the main event as a color commentator with Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. So that was a lot of fun. Looks like Jesse's going to be involved in these moving forward. So he's scheduled to make an appearance at the next one coming up in San Antonio.
What was your opinion on how he did?
I thought, man, he didn't miss a beat.
Really? That's good.
Years, he hadn't missed a beat. I mean, he must have done some studying to know who was who. When they cut to him and asked him his opinion on certain things, one of the talking points that he really elaborated on was Cody Rhodes not being 100% because Kevin Owens hurt his leg like a few weeks prior on TV, and then talking about how Cody teamed with the Bloodline and Kevin Owens had issues with that, and he kept up with some of the product.
That's pretty good
to be able to contribute on commentary. But is he going to be doing full broadcasts? I don't think so.
I heard that Pat McAfee and Michael Cole is going to be doing Raw. No.
Yep. You don't like that group? You don't like that duo? What's wrong with you?
No. They're a circus. Fuck them.
Oh, my God. All right, here we go. On the soapbox. Let's hear it.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Let's hear it.
I like the old school feel of wrestling, that it was a sporting... That we're watching a competitive...
Oh, yeah, this is a competitive sport right here. Jimmy Hart coming out from under the ring naked. In his underwear after Warrior had declothed him.
They did not. They just make it to a circus. And I
think they make it fun. Like I saw a quote from Triple H recently talking about Pat McAfee and his commentary. McAfee is like the guy that you sit next to on the couch watching wrestling. Like... He's fun. He's got the witty humor. He's just he comes across as like a regular guy that just loves to watch wrestling, and that's what comes out in his commentary. And he kind of brings a different energy to Michael Cole that Michael Cole didn't have, previously. Or it was there, but he wasn't allowed to. He wasn't allowed to
finally
illustrate.
Got a popular friend, and that's it. And it drives me fucking bonkers. That's what it is. It's like. All
right, so let me ask you this.
Yep.
Your hatred for Michael Cole.
Yep.
Okay. If Michael Cole didn't follow Jim Ross, I got two questions.
Yep.
If Michael Cole didn't follow Jim Ross, and Jim Ross has been labeled as the greatest of all time, behind the mic, do you think you would have as much hate for him?
That's a great question.
Here's another question.
Yep.
Do you think if Michael Cole came from WCW, maybe Michael Cole called some of those classic nitros? If he was a product of World Championship Wrestling?
No, he couldn't do it. He would have been way over his head. He could not have done that. He couldn't. You're telling me he could have called Steamboat Flair?
I'm talking about the Nitro era. I'm not talking about Steamboat Flair.
Oh,
I'm talking about during the Monday Night Wars.
Jim Ross can do Steamboat Flair, but anyway,
of course he can.
But I'm saying that's a indictment to your point that. But anyway, that's what we got adjusted to. We got adjusted to good commentary. Michael Cole was, my opinion, the start of the bad commentating. That the cookie cutter, Vince in my ear.
Well, that's the point. All right, so an indictment to your, but an indictment to your point.
Yeah,
he had Vince in his ear. If Michael Cole couldn't be who he was, and he had to have Vince in his ear, I mean, that's a detriment to him, don't you think?
I just don't think he could. He needed that. I don't think he could be.
I think his work has gotten a lot better. I didn't really have any issue. Here's the issue I had with him. Here's another question. Yeah. If they didn't portray him as a heel commentator for a few years,
that was awful. Yeah.
Do you think you would have as much hate for him as you do?
And also, it's a little bit also too that I'm a big, Jerry Lawler mark, and like the one fucking. He never got a WrestleMania win in fucking Cole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was there for that WrestleMania. That was pretty bad. I don't dispute that. As the Warrior gets the win over a great ADCL Dino Bravo, but Earthquake comes in, and now he's gonna have to fight them off to himself. I wonder if someone is going to save the day. I don't know. We'll find out. As we're watching Warrior dispose of Dino.
I got a question for you. Who did Earthquake get at WrestleMania 6?
Hercules.
Oh, come on.
But this was the build for Earthquake for when he would eventually face Hogan.
It's SummerSlam, right?
SummerSlam that year, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
All right. You could have gave him someone bigger than fucking Hercules.
Well, I mean, yeah.
But he made a statement. He squashed him. So there was a statement there.
Yeah, they were trying to build him up for Hogan because they needed a monster for Hogan. They needed someone to take Hogan out so Hogan could film a movie while Warrior had the run with the title as the champ. I was kind of surprised that we didn't get a Warrior Earthquake rivalry for the title. Oh, here it is. He's going to squash the Warrior, and coming down the aisle, the Hulkster brother. Here to save the day. Save his WrestleMania main event is what he's really here to do.
Yep.
That's what he's really here to do. He's here to save the WrestleMania main event. His meal ticket. Well, actually, no. Warrior is his meal ticket, but...
how did Earthquake do that? He's a fatty, and he did a flip off the top rope, bumped, and like it was nothing. That motherfucker's awesome.
He probably held...
One of a kind.
He probably held the top rope with his right hand, so that when Hogan hit him and he fell backwards, he had something to hold on to.
I would say he's a 500-pound guy. He just did essentially a flip off the top rope.
He didn't flip off the top rope. He fell backwards.
Oh, anyway, I'm just saying that. I thought that was pretty fucking cool, Mr.
Oh, I think it's Mr. What?
Mr. Negative Nelly Pants.
What are you talking about? That's your whole gimmick. You live in the moment. You fucking complain about something, and then 10 minutes later, like, maybe you're right.
A little bit. I literally got a text message from my second best friend. His name was Vitaly. I'm like, before the I'm a Vikings fan, and people don't know that the Lions just smashed the shit out of us. And before the game, I'm like, Super Bowl Vikings, you watch, are gonna kick some ass. And then after the game, I'm like, wait, fuck it, we're gonna get eliminated.
That's what you do.
Round. These motherfuckers.
That's what you do. Live in the moment.
It is true.
You live in the moment. I'll give you that.
True.
And then like 20 minutes later, an hour later, whatever, you'll be like, you know what? You might have been right, Dave. Not that I look to be right by any means, because that's not. But I try to have a little bit more positive optimism.
It's true.
As we see Vince McMahon flashing back to the Royal Rumble, just a month prior when Hulk and Warrior had that big stare down in the Royal Rumble match, which I kind of have a feeling we're going to see some of that in this year's Royal Rumble.
With the Royal Rumble?
With CM Punk and John Cena, who have been announced as entries into the 2025 Royal Rumble match.
That'd be a good WrestleMania. The Senior Bomber, the Punk one last time?
I think they're going to check that box off in the Rumble match.
Okay.
I think the two of them are going to have like their moment. They might face off. One will hit a GTS. The other one will hit the 5 moves of doom. And then, that'll be the end of it. and then one of them will eliminate the other. Those are the two heavy favorites going into this year's Royal Rumble for the men.
Yeah.
Punk never main eventing a WrestleMania, never winning a Royal Rumble. Cena.
Sorry, we got Rock. We got Rock. We got Rock versus Roman. So WrestleMania. That's got a main event WrestleMania. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
Being a 2-night event, I would imagine if they get to that point, if it's Rock and Roman, because it still, as of this time, hasn't really been.
I'm sorry. You could say I'm headlining the first night. That's not the main event still.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I know. You and Justin are very much on the same wavelength, and I kind of agree with you there. But I think we're in a new era where it's a little bit different. And having a 2-night WrestleMania, it's helped evolve WrestleMania. And now they're gonna do a 2-night SummerSlam. Royal Rumble was actually just announced a few weeks ago to take place in Saudi Arabia next year in 2026. In Riyadh, so
they gotta watch out.
I would imagine that's going to be a 2-night event.
Yeah.
So we'll be watching Royal Rumble next year during the middle of the day, East Coast time, 1:00.
I just hope they're
on Saturday and maybe Sunday.
The way the Middle East, the way it's going right now, I would watch. They should have.
I'm sure they have contingency plans. I mean, they didn't travel over there during COVID. They just
that's a good point.
They just extended their contract with them because of COVID. As we see Vince McMahon here interviewing Hulk Hogan for the second or third time he's been on TV on this episode.
Be at least the second promo.
Second promo, yeah, because he had the pre-match with Mean Gene where he was sweating with that bandana, and then he came out all dry as a bone. Now he comes out, goes to save Warrior with a T-shirt on and the bandana, but then he comes back, takes his T-shirt off, still sweating like a motherfucker with the belt on and the bandana. So I don't know if that was product placement to try and sell merch. I have no idea. But we are at 43 minutes and 6 seconds and counting. This Saturday night's main event coming up. Hogan actually has been, it's funny, his most recent appearance on Raw with the whole Netflix debut and the people in Los Angeles booing him. Here you go. See, look, Earthquake holding his right hand. There you go. And then he ate both ropes. I know I was right.
You're right.
You didn't do a fucking flip.
You're right.
Mr. Libman. The Vikings suck. We're not going to go to the Super Bowl.
We'll win one playoff game. How about that?
Yeah, you just need to. You are like They should rename Debbie Downer to Dennis Downer. That's what you are.
I'd be okay with that.
You can own that title.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. At least you could own that. I could respect that. But yeah, Hogan's scheduled to. I think he's scheduled to be a part of this Saturday night's main event in San Antonio, unless the negative backlash from the Netflix appearance changes things. He's in the commercials talking about Saturday night's main event coming to San Antonio, and Jesse Ventura's scheduled to be there too. So I'm kind of curious if WWE management's going to try and get the two of them together, either on screen or behind the scenes, because we know Jesse has been very vocal about his relationship with Hogan over the years. Allegedly during I think it was Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon admitted during a deposition with the federal government when the subject of Jesse Ventura came up that Hogan was the one that stooged out Jesse when Jesse tried to form a union with the wrestlers.
Yeah. I mean, it was never going to happen, but still, fuck Hogan for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of fuck Hogan. I mean, like I said, I think his days of appearing on TV for WWE are over. In my opinion, I don't think it's necessary. I know he's got that beer that he's co-promoting with them. I believe, like I said, they have a 70% ownership stake in it.
I got a question for you, Dave.
Yeah,
they're talking about union. Everyone's the Khan family. Well, it's like join our wrestling federation because we're gonna have union and all that other stuff.
That never happened,
right? Fuck them for that too. Fuck the Khan family.
They also said that they were going to have health care for all the wrestlers, and that didn't happen. That only turned out that they gave health care to the employees. So all the wrestlers, like your medical bills get covered if you get hurt in the ring, which WWE does too. They cover the medical costs if you get hurt in their rings. AEW is doing the same thing. But I remember too when they had rolled out the red carpet and were promoting their show. and promoting their brand, it was going to turn into, this is a place where you can get health care and, you can make a good living wrestling and, your medical expenses, but that never happened. So, fuck them. I haven't really watched any of their shows.
I used to.
I hope the best
Kenny's
for them.
back, so I might watch it.
I hope the best for them, but I don't. It's not on my radar. WWE's been on fire, and I'm going with the winning team. For right now, because their program has just been exciting to watch. That's really all I could say. As we're watching the closing moments of the Saturday Night's Main Event with like 2 minutes left, who in today's wrestling world could you say was the equivalent to a super matchup between Hogan and Warrior?
But
all right, let's just narrow it down. Let's just say WWE.
Okay.
Who in WWE would you consider a Hogan and Warrior type of matchup?
Well, Hogan's obviously Roman Reigns, and Savage probably.
I said Warrior.
But anyway, so like Warrior versus Hogan, right?
Yeah.
What would be like that type of thing?
Yeah. What would be today's equivalent of that?
That would probably be CM Punk, Roman Reigns.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's been a match that's been heavily rumored for WrestleMania. I don't know if you saw. Did you watch Survivor Series at all? War Games, Bloodline.
Yeah. I did see that. Yes, I did.
Yeah. Punk Roman, they kind of had some moments. It got like 96 million views in like a 24-hour span on social media. So that's a match that's been rumored for WrestleMania. As we see, Mean Gene.
Totally unrelated. Any updates on who's that Australian guy that broke his leg and broke my heart? It's the biggest spot of his career.
Bronson Reed
breaks his leg.
Bronson Reed.
Yeah.
You listening? Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed, thank you.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. What's wrong with you today?
I'm just saying, though, it's like, seriously, his biggest moment of his whole fucking career, and boom, he breaks his leg. My heart just shattered from the guy.
Yeah, he's going to be out for a little bit, but he'll be back because they got big things planned for him. I mean, they wouldn't have put him in that War Games match if they didn't see something in him. As we get down to the last 30 seconds or so of the Saturday Night's Main Event with Vince and Jesse signing us off as we see still shots of the action from this evening. Hogan, Warrior facing off here, hyping up WrestleMania. As we close out this watch along here on Kick. Oh, there's Savage nursing a wound, that shot to the face. As we end this watch along here on Kicking Out at 2. What'd you think?
Really, the short to the point, fucking a real good event. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't. They didn't have a bunch of people on the show, but they had the two main marquee matchups, and that show was probably live at that time, a 1 hour special. So those two big matchups on there, yeah, that fits. That definitely works. Well, I appreciate you taking the time as always.
Absolutely,
had a lot of fun. Looking forward to the upcoming Saturday Night's Main Event set to take place January the 25th from San Antonio, Texas. Looking forward to seeing what they got in store, what kind of nostalgia they're going to be presenting. I wonder if Hulk Hogan's going to be there because of his recent Netflix debacle. Are they going to say, you know what, Terry?
You think he has one left in him?
A match?
Yeah.
No.
Because I'm trying to think.
No.
There's only one way.
No.
There's only one way.
No.
I'm just saying there's only one way for him to do a 180 on this. He needs to get his ass kicked in front of everybody. He does that, people will like him again.
Here's the thing about that, okay? I don't necessarily disagree with you there, okay? I'm sure people would pop hard if he got his ass kicked, if they did an angle where somebody, like a Jacob Fatu.
I was just thinking Jesse Ventura. He gets in there.
I don't think anybody wants to see that.
I mean, he gets punched a couple times, and then
I don't think anybody wants to see that.
I'm just saying.
I think he needs
to do.
I think
he needs a butt whooping.
First of all, after all that took place with the racial remarks, he should have apologized. He should have been like, "I'm sorry." Now he kind of did a half-ass apology, but in that same sentence, he was like, "You just got to be careful as to who you're around because you never know when you're going to be recorded." Like, dude, like it doesn't matter whether you're recorded or not. You shouldn't have said that shit.
Yeah.
Bottom line, you shouldn't have said it. So, like, for him to, like, say that, I could see why people, if he came out and said, hey, I was in a dark place, I made some mistakes, and I said something terrible, and I own it, and I'm sorry, and I hope you forgive me, I don't think he would get the backlash that he does. Because
Absolutely.
online, people have been saying, oh, it's because he was in California. It's a liberal state. He's a Trump supporter. But Undertaker was a Trump supporter, and they didn't boo him out of the building. So I'm kind of interested to see if they're going to bring him back for this Saturday night's main event. He's been in the commercials advertising the event in San Antonio. So, Texas is a big Republican state. Trump being, a Republican, I can only imagine that he might get a different reaction or maybe even a mixed reaction being in Texas. But we'll see. Enough of that.
Yeah.
Next episode, Dennis and I are going to get our Royal Rumble fix on. We're not going to watch a Royal Rumble match, but we're going to watch, in my opinion, a classic. Probably one of the greatest non-Royal Rumble matches at a Royal Rumble event. The 25-year anniversary, Triple H defending the WWF Championship against Cactus Jack in a New York City street fight from Madison Square Garden, Royal Rumble 2000. That's on deck for our next episode, and I think it's about that time that we put this episode down for the 3 count, and we'll see you all next time.